Welcome to this, the 4th edition of the Steelcityman vlog. I've not been vlogging very much lately for one or two reasons. The first one being that my wife's been quite ill lately. She had a ventricular tachycardia, which is if you don't know, it's a very rapid heartbeat, which culminated in a cardiac arrest. And thankfully this wonderful National Health Service, the paramedics and all the nursing staff, they've done an absolute marvellous job. They gave her back to me a couple of weeks ago. She's going through a period of rehabilitation and recovery now. The weather today is quite sunny and it's almost perfect for an outside broadcast. But I haven't got a dead cat for my microphone, a mic muffler, call it what you will. I like the term dead cat, so that's why I'm doing the inside broadcast. Another reason that I've been thinking about a lot, particularly while I've not been vlogging, is it's an age factor. Is there a place for a 68-year-old vlogger on the internet? I haven't seen many at all of that age that are doing vlogs. Blogs, yes, that's fine. Nobody can see you on a blog unless you post a photo. I'm not very photogenic. I'm quite old. I have no hair. I wear glasses. I'm overweight, and I'm 68 years old. When I compare what I look like to the sort of modern vlogger that we've got on YouTube at the moment, 99% of them are quite young. I think the oldest is about, I don't know, 30 something. Certainly 40 is the top age level that I've seen. I've not seen many decent Brit vloggers, although there is one that I follow, Marz. He's quite inspirational. He's only a young lad, he's 19 years old, he's got a beautiful home, a gorgeous studio, top class equipment. Not saying he hasn't worked hard for it, all that's a little bit out of my reach. 68 years old, retired, so it's another kind of mental or psychological block to showing my face on a vlog. I don't know, is there a niche, is there a place for a approaching 70-year-old vlogger on YouTube? I can't be as hip and cool as a lot of the youngsters are. I'd look a bit silly with a back to front baseball cap on. The language is certainly very different. Like if the young ones are describing something as good, they say it's sick. Well, to me that means total opposite. If it's sick, it's bad, it's no good. But there you go, language changes over time. And I suppose I'm a little bit set in my ways in that department.
Are you ready for beer?
Okay, all I've got is two sort of table lamps. The main light is my sort of studio. I say studio loosely, it's an office. It's just an extremely small room or a large cupboard, and it's got one window, the light's facing me at the moment. We'll see how it goes when I play this back. Very unlike CASEY NIESTAT's studio or Marz's studio. This is my cupboard. Second part to this vlog that I want to put together concerns a little bit of the history of one of the houses we used to live at, which is just up the road from me. It's about a haunting. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, I don't know. I certainly do, after witnessing what happened at my other house. It all started round about 1967, or about a year before I joined the army in 1968, and it lasted a good number of years, and each time I came home on leave back home things started building up, things started happening, things went missing. Started round about 1967, and it started off by initially little household things disappearing. It'd be a sauce bottle would disappear, or a salt cellar, or a pair of slippers, something everyday and non-consequential, just disappear off the face of the earth, and they'd turn up weeks and weeks later in a place that you knew that everybody had looked and missed it. Suddenly there it was, back again. This happened lots of times, and then things started getting a little bit more intense. We started hearing someone, we'd be sat watching TV on an evening, or sat reading, or just talking as a family, and we'd hear somebody run down the stairs. Run down the stairs, and it'd be like a child. They'd run down the stairs and jump the last 2 or 3 steps, and we couldn't fathom out where this was coming from. We thought it was next door, but then next doors were out and it was still happening. We thought we'd got burglars. We thought all manner of things. This went on again for quite a while. We had people come round to visit. They heard them as well and asked who's just come downstairs, and we replied, well, nobody. There's never anybody there. And then one night, one of the ladies that was visiting, she got up to leave. It was around about 9, 9:30 on an evening, dark outside. And as she pulled open the living room door to leave, something or someone pulled the door out of her grasp and slammed it shut again. Freaked everybody out. It really did. Even though we knew these things were happening. And like, my family's got a history of spiritualism, if you like, dabbling in contact with spirits. I've been to spiritualist churches that even held seances to converse with spirits. At this time I was around about 17 or 18 years old. Didn't know what to make of any of it. So then things started escalating again as my mother was making the beds up. You know, like you get a duvet and you throw it back to straighten the sheets and pillows. Or she'd do that, she'd throw the duvet back, and then something or somebody would throw it back at her again. Oh my goodness. That did start freaking us out. I witnessed one episode where I was sat in the kitchen having my tea after coming home from work. The dog was sat at the bottom of the stairs, looking up, wagging its tail, shuffling its bottom as though expecting something, throw a ball or like they do. And of course there was nobody at the top of the stairs, so we didn't know what we were looking at. We thought, what a strange dog. Then he came into the kitchen and he's looking at his dog dish with his biscuit, and we saw a dog biscuit levitate about 12 inches off the floor and then fling itself across the kitchen floor. Well, everybody's blood ran cold. Again, a big freak out. Oh, what's happening? This kept going on. Incidents just like this. One night I'm laid in bed fast asleep. The dog had gone upstairs and he was jumping on my bed, walking all over my legs, and I'm trying to kick it off in the night, and it wouldn't leave me alone, this dog, and it was just bouncing and treading on my legs on bed. So I got up, put the bedside light on, doors closed, no dog in the room. Oh my God, another freak out session. Anyway, I eventually went downstairs, saw that the dog was asleep in the kitchen where it was normally kept. Went upstairs, tentatively, had a good look round the bedroom, nobody in, and eventually settled down. Didn't get much sleep that night, I can tell you. It just got so insistent that my late father did a bit of research, and he found out through looking at the old church records down the road in the church. He found out that on the site of our house where we lived at this time was a row of 3 sort of peasants' cottages, and in one of these cottages lived a woman called Mary Elizabeth Wright. The story started unfolding as he dug deeper and deeper into the church archives, that this young girl at the age of 11 years old was swinging on a tree in the fields at the back of our house, and she fell off and cracked her head, quite badly injured. She recovered, but from that day on till her death, she stayed as an 11-year-old little girl. So that explained probably the childish behaviour of this haunting, this spirit, this entity that was in our house, which was built on the site of her house. So anyway, we got hold of the local spiritualist church, and there was a medium called Mrs. Wilkinson, well renowned in the area for being a true spiritualist. She never did anything for money, just her expenses. So she did just stuff for money, I suppose. But I'm losing my voice. The terror of recalling all this, I think. This Mrs. Wilkinson came to the house without a clue why we wanted her to come. All she knew was it was a haunting. So she came, we had a séance that night, and she brought a colleague of hers along from the Central Spiritualist Church. We got a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and we taped the whole process from start to finish, the whole sale. And what actually happened, this Mrs. Wilkinson went into a trance, and through her, the spirit of Mary Elizabeth Wright came through and started talking to us. And she confirmed what was in the church records, that about the influenza epidemic and the fall from the tree. Mary Elizabeth Wright explained that it was her that had picked the dog biscuit up and thrown it across the kitchen floor, which greatly amused the dog. He was just playing catch. The dog went and caught the biscuit and brought it back and dropped it back in the dish. So he were quite happy. It was us that were freaked out. As the conversation went on, this medium, Mrs. Wilkinson, turned to me and said, and she leaned forward in her seat and she said, "He a freaking thee other night, didn't I, lad?" And she was referring to when I thought the dog was on my bed. It was actually Mary Elizabeth Wright that was trying to wake me up by bouncing on the bed and kicking my legs and doing everything else. And all I could say was, "Well, yeah, you did frighten me," or freaking me, as we say in Sheffield. And she just sat back and laughed and said she'd had a good time doing it. Anyway, Mrs. Wilkinson then got on with her spiritualist job of facilitating the removal of this earthbound spirit onto the next plane where she should have gone when she died. Although she was 11 years old in her head, I think she died when she was something like 78 years old, and all this time she'd lived as an 11-year-old child in her mind. All this was explained to Mary Elizabeth Wright, what had actually happened, and the fact that the reason nobody was taking any notice of her was the fact that she was in spirit form. And this Mrs. Wilkinson brought in spirit guides to actually facilitate Mary Elizabeth Wright's removal onto the next plane. And as these guides took her away onto the next level, we heard this sound like a wind. I remember afterwards, after we played this tape back, not everybody heard this wind noise during the seance, but everybody heard it on the tape, and it was the transition of the earthbound spirit onto the next plane which made this sound, this wind noise. And from that day on, we never heard another peep from Mary Elizabeth Wright. However, there is a sting to the tale. A couple of weeks later, the gentleman that came with this spiritualist medium from the Central Spiritualist Church came and called on my mum's and asked if he could borrow the tape for research purposes. My mum and dad agreed, and he took it away. We never saw the tape again. Repeated requests to return it were ignored. Every time we asked where the tape was, he denied ever having it. He stole it. Pure and simple. So the evidence that we had on this tape for this story, and particularly the conclusion of the removal of the earthbound spirit, disappeared. And all it is now is in this anecdotal form. Believe it or believe it not. The decision is yours. I think that's about enough for today. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.